I will now call to order the Arvada City Council meeting for December 2nd, 2025. At this time, I will call on Councilmember Griffith to lead us in a moment of silent reflection and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Please join me in a moment of silence. All right, now please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ms. Rush, will you please do the roll call?
Mayor Simpson, Mayor Pro Tem Mormon,
Here.
Councilmember Ambrose,
Here.
Councilmember Davis,
Here.
Councilmember Pfeiffer, Councilmember Griffith,
Here.
Councilmember Levison.
Here.
And Ms. Davis.
Yes, I would like to ask that we excuse Mayor Simpson and Councilmember Bob Pfeiffer.
All right, please cast your votes. Oh, I have to, oh, sorry. I do have a start button. Try it out, yeah. Okay. All votes are cast. And that passes 5-0, now with an excused absence of Councilmember Pfeiffer and Mayor Simpson. All right. There are no minutes for approval, and there are no recognitions or presentations today, so we'll move on to public comment. The public comment time on the agenda is for items not scheduled on the agenda for a public hearing, and is limited to 3 minutes per person. Public comment is your opportunity to address your city council. We always listen carefully to what you have to say, but we do not respond to any comments being made during the meeting. We will refer any issues raised during public comment to the city team for further research and resolution if that is appropriate. So I will start with Mr. Mike Rollick. If you'd please come up. Again, you have 3 minutes. Please, for the record, state your name and where you live.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor Pro Tem. My name is Mike Rollick, 18735 West 59 Drive, Golden, Colorado 80403, on the behalf of Ralston Valley Coalition, which is based in Arvada. Welcome, new members. First of all, very proud of you all for getting through that election and for you coming back, Mr. Mormon. We had a candidate forum, obviously, and three of you were already there, and we had some lightning round questions. We just kind of want to reiterate and see if these could become part of the 2026 conversation. Of note, first of all, I just want to mention, I don't know if you've all seen in the news, there was an issue with Airbus. 6,000 Airbus had to get retrofitted. That was in Reuters and other things. I'm not speaking of any industry secret or anything like that, but there was an issue with solar radiation. And I thought about what you had said during the candidate forum about grid resilience, climate change, things like that. I would hope that the conversation includes what is happening with the changing sun, because I thought pretty wise comments there to think forward and say, what can a city do? And now we're seeing more and more disruptions coming from new sources like the sun. So just want to bring that up. We did talk about citizen rebuttal periods, and everybody during the lightning round said they would support a citizen rebuttal during a hearing for rezoning or conditional use or what have you. Again, those laws of learning that we started talking about in comments about last year, the law of recency, the law of primacy, and the law of exercise, right? So if citizens are allowed to have even a percentage of time, so say there is 20 people here to speak during their normal 3 minutes, and if they can elect 1 or 2 citizens that are sitting there to have 3 minutes of rebuttal, 6 minutes of rebuttal, it helps for that law of recency. The things that people hear last is what they remember the most. Law of primacy is what you hear first, obviously, is what you would learn best first impression, so that's usually the case manager and the applicant. But to maybe balance it out with that little bit of citizen rebuttal. Also, we're talking about things like the psilocybin setbacks. And that was going to be a conversation after the August 19th vote. I hope that's coming along. RVC is looking forward to that conversation about doing setbacks to protect citizens and their residences in the schools. One of the big problems, obviously, is in the federal eyes. Psilocybin is still a Schedule I drug, so to keep that 10th Amendment battle away from residences and possibly more in an industrial area would be smarter. You don't want things like, you don't want federal agents coming into neighborhoods or close to neighborhoods, because right now you could have a setback of only 20 feet from a psilocybin facility and a house. And also drone delivery, another big thing. I just saw a Twitter X of a drone delivery of food, and people are saying they're never going to go back. Maybe there can be a conversation about what can be done with certain options for deliveries, certain properties for launching and retrieving those kind of deliveries. Thank you so much for your time, and welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Rowlick. Next, we have Gina Halisi. Halisi. There you go. Sorry about that.
I left my phone in the car, so I'm going to do this from memory. Gina Halisi, 14626 West 68th Place. And I just wanted to get, first of all, welcome to the new members. And I also wanted to talk on behalf of my HOA, which is the Maple Valley HOA. And as you know, I'm also involved with RVC. And we're very concerned about health and safety in the community. So I like to bring these things up when they come about. And we've been looking at a couple things, and I just want to mention 3 upcoming developments that I want you to, be aware of and kind of understand that there's only limited environmental site assessments or VCUPs for these developments that we could see. And we don't think that's enough for the community to have a sense of safety and for our health and well-being, let alone all of these being near water. So one of them, as you have heard recently, is 6800 Kilmer, DA 2024-0016. Another one is at 17201 West 64th Avenue. That is Avalon, Arvada, the old Welby Gardens. That's DA 2025-0035. And then the last one that we have a concern about is 6644 Kendrick Drive, which is your project, the Arvada Evidence Storage Facility, DA 2025-0007. So all of these are on contaminated, 2 of them are on landfills, and then one of them is on a contaminated site based on the history of that site and greenhouse operations. So I would encourage you to make all of the applicants, including the city, who is one of the applicants, to do their due diligence and make sure that the phase 1 or 2, it should be more than a phase 2. They're very limited, what I'm seeing online. So I just hope that you will take the time to make the developers do their homework and come to you with really good factual information about what's under these sites and what's going to happen when they start stirring it up, to not just the people around it, but to the Croak Canal, the Ralston Creek, and then the ditch up by the golf course. So that's all I wanted to say, is I want to bring it to your awareness, and as we get information, we're going to come and share. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Halisi. Next, I have Elaine Fitzgerald.
Good evening, City Council, and welcome to our new members. My name is Elaine Fitzgerald. I live at 6762 Kilmer Court, getting to be a very famous address, Kilmer Court. I'm here to read a letter from a neighbor and parts of this letter regarding the vision that the city and we have as West Arvada. There seems to be a question about the overall vision of West Arvada along the Ralston Creek and Trail. Neighborhoods have been allowed to be built by developers whatever they wanted. Forest Springs, Maple Valley, Geo's hometown, and various Westwoods neighborhoods. Commercial business were allowed to be built with little value giving to the properties along the Ralston Creek. But that has changed due to the Ralston Valley Coalition and other organizations focusing on the protecting the Ralston Creek. We hope that Arvada prioritizes this area by balancing growth with quality of life, emphasizing citywide goals for sustainable development, walkability, and accessible community spaces. The Tap House, the Colorado Tap House, has become a welcoming community hub, interconnecting many Arvada neighborhoods. The Geos is combining modern mixed-use living with accessible green space along the Ralston Creek Trail. This area will foster local commerce and recreation that is deeply rooted in our vision as residents of the Arvada West neighborhoods. The creek, the new development, will be on the east side of Indiana, solidifying this area as West Arvada's premier lifestyle corridor. It's going to offer a harmonious blend of residential living, local dining, and outdoor recreation. The recent Ralston Creek repair at the Crow Canal has helped cultivate a sustainable and resilient West Arvada by protecting and prioritizing flood control and providing access to a beautiful new green space which has become a destination of its own. Forest Springs and Forest Springs Park to the south and Westwoods Mesa and links to the west and north are all connected by many amenities. Westwood Golf Course, the disc golf links, and this all contributes to businesses along the Ralston Creek Trail that contribute to a strong community identity. This new urban village concept will respect the surrounding natural environment and provide a distinctive and lasting place to live, work, and play for generations to come. My personal question is this: how does a proposed out-of-state LLC-owned RV storage yard fit into this vision? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, I have James Loftus.
Hello, I'm James Loftus, 5425 Nolan Street. First, congratulations to the 2 new members. I believe there's 2 of you. I would like to begin by reading a quote to the council. "You cannot take a breath of fresh air in our town without us knowing about it." I'll say that again. "You cannot take a breath of fresh air in our town without us knowing about it." That was not a quote by East German secret police or some far-off communist regime. That quote was by Sergeant Jamie Milliman of the Columbine Valley Police Department. That's 20 minutes south from here. He was referring to the department's use of flock cameras to monitor the movements of citizens. In that quote, he was falsely accusing a resident of a package theft due to her simply driving through the town. My understanding is that the city of Arvada has not voted on the use of flock cameras, but they have been placed around the city using the police department's budget. Recently, Denver City Council made a wise choice and voted to ban the extension of flock's contract. However, Mayor Johnson has ignored this vote and unilaterally extended the contract. These cameras, not only, they don't enforce traffic, they just read license plate numbers, they identify features of vehicles such as mismatched colors or a missing bumper, and it saves this information in a database. It is mass surveillance camouflaged in security. I passed 3 on the way here, which is 1 mile down the road. The argument in regards to privacy, claiming the police cannot access your travels without suspicion, is laughable. If package theft is a valid excuse to pull up the travels of citizens, then every block of the city is fair game. They built the systems, well, I think back to history, right? There's never been a moment in any history, in any country, where tracking the citizens of movements was a net positive for the people. Flock has now partnered with Ring cameras to have access to your home footage. You can opt in. When you buy a Blink camera on Amazon, you can now opt in, and that is saved by Flock software. I don't think there's been any wise leader that would agree that mass surveillance is a net positive for our people. In fact, the founders of our country put in systems. They knew that man's worst enemy was to give in to temptation, the temptation for abuse of power. We're not better than that. I think that you will see that we're on the wrong road, and common sense would say to get rid of Flock. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no other public comments signed up for this time. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak before council? Please come up. Please state your name and what part of the city you are from.
Yes, good evening. Mindy Moore, 11570 West 70th Place. Congratulations to the new council members and returning council members. I just wanted to take a minute to commend the city, your communication teams, your homelessness navigators, and everyone working in housing and homelessness for the incredible work. This last week, obviously, was the start of severe weather. It came a little later than usual. But the number of social media posts letting people know about the resources that are available, the social media posts letting people know about the incredible work that your teams have done with the suburban studios, getting people into housing, working with our less fortunate residents is just incredible. And I was actually in an unofficial meeting with Jefferson County's homelessness coordinator, Carrie Rennick, who, couldn't speak highly enough about the things that Arvada is doing, and I think hoping that Jefferson County will follow your model, especially on the communication side, which I think is really critical. So I just wanted to take a minute to say that Arvada is looking like a shining city on the hill, and to thank everyone for their hard work.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak before council at this time? All right, seeing none, I will close the public comment period. And next is our consent agenda. I am making a request to remove item R25-118 from the consent agenda, pulling that off. So therefore, we only had 2 consent agenda items, so we will take them now individually. I believe Councilor Lovison would like to make the motion for R25-117, a resolution approving a license agreement by and between the City of Arvada and Rodney Clement and Sherry Clement for the grant of a revocable encroachment license to install a retaining wall in the Zenon Drive right-of-way and West 67th Place right-of-way. Councilmember Levison.
Thank you. I move that R25-117 be approved.
All right, you may start voting. Okay, all votes are cast. Oh, I cleared it. My apologies. Please vote again. Okay, all votes are cast. That passes 5-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer and Mayor Simpson excused. Thank you. And now we will bring up R25-118, a resolution authorizing change order number 5 to an agreement between the City of Arvada and Yultig Operations LLC for owners' representative services for the West 72nd Avenue, Kipling Street to Sim Street project in an amount not to exceed $2,085,552 for construction management, inspection, and material inspection services for construction package number 3, or CP3, in the amount of $2,695,758.89 for revised total contract amount not to exceed $5,497,917.89. City Manager Wick, do we have you or someone from staff presenting this?
Yes, if there's any questions related to this, both Finance Director Brian Archer and Jacqueline Rhodes, Director of Infrastructure, are here to answer those questions.
Fabulous. Well, I'm seeing no lights, so I will take my questions first then. So my main interest in just having a conversation with staff right now and having a clear understanding about where the money is coming from for this. We are restarting the 72nd project, which is a major project for our city, and I know we have a community open house this week scheduled to have that conversation with our community. So I'm getting questions, this is in my district, so I'm getting questions about funding in particular about the project and making sure we are communicating well with the public about where the funding for this project is coming from. This project started with a vote by the public to approve a bond, and that was the main source of funding for this project. And so some questions I'm getting are, what additional funds are we now going to need in addition to the bond to pay for the project? And how much is that going to entail, where that money is going to come from? And in particular to this item, we would be approving $2 million. So what will that be used for? I think just being a little more, having more understanding around what youth league operations will be doing for this project and where that money will be coming from. So those are my questions.
Okay, thank you. And why don't we take the last part of it first and talk about what OLTEG will be doing, and Director Rhodes will take that part, and then we can jump to Brian on the finance piece.
Fabulous, thank you.
Sounds good, thank you. So OLTEG is our owner's representative on this project. They've been a part of the project since the beginning in 2019, and the additional services not only extend the project timeline through its completion, or at least this contract through the end of 2028, but typical owner's rep services include broad project oversight, design reviews, independent cost estimating, value engineering, construction administration, construction inspection, and construction management with materials testing and closeout activities. So there's a number of activities. This is the 5th change order for this contractor on the project. As we've experienced prior extensions in the timeline, we've needed to continue their services and continue that on-site, on-the-ground support. And this change order continues to do that through the project completion.
And so to be clear, ULTIG is not the main contractor doing the construction work, but they are hired by the city to help the city work with the contractor. Is that a good way to say it?
That's correct. So key partners on this project not only are the design engineer, Moeller, who you might expect to see some additional activity in the future, OLTEG, our owner's representative, and SEMA, our construction contractor. Next steps that the council will see coming to you, we're working first in January, you'll see some agreements with the Union Pacific Railroad that have some costs associated with those. Also later in January or early February, as we get a guaranteed maximum price estimated for the project, we'll bring that to council in early next year for approval before any continued construction would happen on the project.
Thank you. So let's get into the conversation then about where the money's coming from.
Okay, thank you for the question, Mayor Pro Tem Mormon. So you had a few questions. Ultimately, your initial one was, what was the original budget? So that was approximately $64,500,000 back in 2019. So that came from the 2019 sales tax bond that we issued from the vote that was done by the citizens. Today, our current estimate is roughly $97,500,000. Okay. So that leaves us a gap of roughly, let's just use round numbers, $33 million. Mm-hmm. And so we have a few ways that we're going to make that up. So the first was, when we issued our bond in 2019, we did not use our entire authority that was approved. So we had an authority of $80 million. We only issued about $72 million. So in 2023, if you remember, City Council approved us issuing the difference. So that was about $8 million. Of which we used, again, round numbers, about $4.1 million to finish Ralston Road. We will take the remaining $3.9 million, add that in. We also have invested the funds since 2019, and so we've put all the interest that we earn on that project towards completion. So right now, we're estimating another $3 million that we'll gain in interest. And then finally, that'll leave us, again, round numbers, about $27 million short. So we've been planning on that for the last 3 years. And what we've done is, as part of our 98-101 funds, the CIP dollars that we take out of sales tax each year, we've reserved an amount to issue that 27 million in 2026 and pay for those. So no new taxes, no additional dollars, but what we've done is carved out an amount that we feel comfortable that should be able to pay that debt. And,
Sorry,
please go right ahead.
is that coming out of the general fund?
Yes, it is. However, these are dollars that have already been budgeted, and so it's not new general fund dollars. It will not affect our operating dollars moving forward.
Okay.
It's the 98-101 funds that are reserved. So, yes, it starts in the general fund, but ultimately, we would call it our CIP dollars. And so, does that help?
I think so, yes. And
Okay.
we are going to need to approve those funds to be expended on the project. Is that correct?
Not only will you need to approve that, you will also need to approve the COP. So we will need to bring both of those to you. As Ms. Rhodes identified earlier, we will bring a contract for multiple vendors in the spring, once we know the numbers. And then, once we have all of that, we will work on the COP with our financial advisors, bring that proposal to you next year.
Okay, and this item on the agenda, this 2 million that we're approving, there, a little more than that, is coming from where?
So we still have remaining dollars on our initial 2019 bond, and so they will come from that.
Okay, excellent. I appreciate that. Thank you for explaining that.
Sure.
Any other questions from council? Yes, Councilmember Griffith.
I just have a point of clarification. When we hire a consultant to help with staff augmentation, that's something that we don't have capacity for internally. Is that true in this case, that we just don't have the capacity to do that sort of consultant liaison role, owner's rep role between the contractor and the duty of the project?
Yes, with this type of complex project, it does make sense to augment our staff with additional inspectors, additional support in those owners representative services, as well as the specialty inspections that would occur. So this is common on some of our large, more complex CIPs that we take this approach and this model.
And the alternative would be that we make full-time hires and add disciplines and do all sorts of things because they're fulfilling that role as a hired contractor. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, just point of clarification. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no other lights, so Councilmember Levison, I would like to make the motion.
I move that R25-118 be approved.
Please cast your votes. All votes are cast. That passes 5-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer and Mayor Simpson excused. Thank you. There are no resolutions for consideration tonight other than what was on the consent agenda. So the next item on the agenda are first reading of ordinances. And do I have a council member wishing to make that motion? Councilmember Davis.
Yes, I move that Council Bill 25-028, CB 25-029, and, I just lost it. Dang it. Sorry, hold on. And CB 25030 be approved, first reading. Wait,
You need to
I'm sorry.
state
I know.
that the public hearing is
Yes.
set for December
Yes,
16th.
I'm seeing that right now. Be approved on first reading, ordered, published in full, and public hearing date be set for December 16th, 2025 at 6:15 PM.
Thank you. Please cast your votes. All votes are cast. That passes 5-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer and Mayor Simpson excused. Next on the agenda are appointments to the Planning Commission. However, since Mayor Simpson and Councilmember Pfeiffer are absent today, we decided this is an important issue that all members of council need to be present for to discuss. So do I have a motion to continue this matter to December 16th, 2025? Councilmember Davis.
Yes, I move that we remove agenda item 9A and reset it to be heard on December 16th, 2025.
Thank you. You may start voting. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councilmember Griffith.
Thank you so much. So I just wanted to add some clarification for folks watching at home. This is an item related to filling a vacancy on the Planning Commission. Just like any vacancy on a board or committee, the cycles typically, applications can come in December, and then decisions are made to, with interviews and the whole process, to appoint members to various boards and committees by the end of March, maybe the 1st of April. So in this case, one thing I just wanted to clarify is that there are a couple of vacancies that are coming up. One is due to a term limit, so that'll go through a normal process. And the other one is, obviously, I was on this board, so I'm no longer on that board. So that vacancy is now. The other vacancy will be in April. So as I understand it, the application process will be open for various boards and commissions, and I think that happens in the next couple of weeks. And so keep an eye out for that and submit applications if you're interested. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, please cast your votes. All votes are cast. That passes 5-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer and Mayor Simpson excused. I will now open the public hearing for CB 25-027, an ordinance repealing and reenacting various sections of Chapter 70 Personnel Rules of the Arvada City Code, Ordinance 4913. Gabrielle Baumer, Director of Human Resources, will be presenting on this item.
Thank you very much, Council. As you said, I'm Gabriella Baumer, Director of Human Resources, and I have a brief presentation for you today on our proposed updates to our city's personnel rules. We are asking for your vote this evening so we can make the rules effective for the beginning of the calendar year. So I will start with a brief introduction. The personnel rules are part of the city's Code of Ordinances, Chapter 70, and they define the city's personnel merit system. So essentially the terms and conditions of employment with the city. So these are outlining the terms we have as an employer and a business in the city and how we expect our employees to act and behave and all of the things that we do for them throughout their employee life cycle, from beginning of employment at application stage to separation at the end. We do have updates for you that we put together annually. Most of the updates are, they start by looking to be compliant with updates to state and federal law. And then while we're in the arena of those, we also look for opportunities to upgrade any outdated language or any general housekeeping issues we have. Sometimes we need to reflect more current market practices, and those are the updates we're bringing to you this evening. There's also sometimes quite a deal of procedural language in the rules, and we also have city manager policies and procedures that really go into detail on policies and procedures. So we often try to eliminate some of that language in the rules and refer to the policy and procedures in the city manager's manual. And you'll see a few of those are some of the more major red lines in your packet today. So to point out, there is a section in your packet of the complete edits that we're making, and they're red lines, and you'll see a lot of red lines. Tonight I'm going to focus mostly on the changes that have some kind of tangible impact. Most of the general housekeeping changes I'm not going to talk too much about, but you're welcome to ask me any questions about those as well. We don't anticipate any of these changes will have a significant budget impact. If they do have a nominal budget impact, we believe our current personnel budget will be able to handle those changes. Okay. Let's see. Okay, for strategic alignment, we do align our personnel rules to the City Council strategic results. We do that through the Organizational Service and Effectiveness Work System Services. We aim first to provide leadership policy and guidance to our organization. This is the part that protects the city as an employer and a business. We want to make sure we're running lawful employment practices and such. And then we also strive to be an employer of choice, where we treat our employees really well and give them a respectful and inclusive work environment. And that is the second principle that we follow for our rules. The rules are, as I said, they're Chapter 70 of the Code of Ordinances. They're broken into articles that follow the employment life cycle. And I have presented these to you in the order of the articles and the sections that we're proposing to update. So this slide covers Article 1 in general and Article 2 employment. And for Article 1, we are adding a new section that clarifies who these rules apply to. It clarifies the rules apply to employees of the city. It does exclude elected officials or members that you appoint to boards and commissions and such. It also notes that department directors are exempt from certain sections of the rules, which is defined in a city policy, mostly having to do with progressive discipline, as directors are at will and serve at the pleasure of the city manager. The employment section, Article 2, has a few more sections that are proposed for updates. The first one is in the definitions and employment status section 7032. We are adding definitions here to better comply with our current laws, including the Colorado Equal Pay Act and the Affordable Care Act, which is the federal law. Those include definitions to define what base pay is, and so employees that work here often have a base wage or salary that they earn for their job, and then there might be additional supplemental type pay that they earn for doing a particular task or condition, such as shift differential. If someone works a graveyard shift, they may get an additional differential. That is considered supplemental pay, and base pay is considered a base wage. So we added a definition to clarify that term. And then we deleted a definition for cause employee. For cause employee, we basically just combined that definition with the definition of a regular employee, which is someone who completes probation and is now subject to our city's discipline process. We've also updated the definition for at-will, seasonal, and variable hour employee definitions, and those are, again, to comply with those laws and have the definitions better match the laws. For the Section 734, job vacancy and posting, we've adjusted a statement here that used to say, or does currently say, that we will only post internally for jobs if there is a qualified pool of current employees identified. And now that the Colorado Equal Pay Law is in effect, we post all job vacancies, whether there's a qualified pool or not. So we didn't want to misinterpret that as only being posted when there's a qualified pool identified. Section 7061 has to do with pay rates for employees who take on temporary acting assignments. So occasionally we will have vacancies where it might take a little longer to fill a position, and we will ask an incumbent to take on that role temporarily. And those usually are roles in higher levels of authority, and they come with a adjustment in pay so that they are paid at the grade of the acting assignment. What this update is doing is clarifying that if an employee is eligible for a step increase for their regular assigned role, which is on hold for them while they're acting in the new assignment, they will get that step increase when they return to their regular role. Okay. The next two articles are about employee compensation and attendance and leave. The section for compensation has to do with longevity pay. We're simply removing this section because we do not have any employees who are currently eligible for this. The last employee, this longevity pay was offered to employees who were hired prior to 1978, and the last employee hired prior to that date retired recently, so this section no longer applies. Under attendance and leave articles, we are requesting or proposing a change to our vacation accruals. There are two reasons here that we're proposing this change, and the change that we're proposing is to increase our civilian employee vacation rates to match our sworn employee vacation rates. They differ by about 1.5 hours per month. And the reason we're proposing this is twofold. During our annual market comparisons that we do with our competitive employers, we look at all of our pay and benefits. And one of the things we found as part of that process is that our civilian employee vacation rates were falling just below average. We were actually one of the lowest on the list for our competitive cities. And so increasing the rate slightly to the new level that matches sworn employees will provide us a little bit more of a competitive posture with our market. But it also creates an equitable benefit between all employee groups. And I think, well, I do know that when we were looking at those comparisons, we were one of only 2 cities in that group that separated the two, that had different rates for civilian and police. And I think most of them changed to do an equitable table because of the equity law. So we want to follow in that practice and create an equitable leave benefit for all employee groups. And this will also serve to bring us up a little bit in our competitive stance. And I think this is the one that is most highly anticipated by our employees. Section 70-107 has to do with extended medical leave. This is an existing practice at the city. We offer this to employees who are going through a severe, serious medical condition or injury where FMLA leave is not enough time. So FMLA provides 12 weeks of leave for employees to recover from a serious condition or medical or an injury. But sometimes that's not enough time. They might be going through something very serious or critical, and they need additional time, and this policy allows them to take up to 14 more weeks to recover from their condition and protect their job. So we are making just some slight clarifications here that those 14 weeks are 14 calendar weeks and not based on actual hours worked. So it's just 14 more weeks.
Councilmember Ambrose.
Thank you very much for this presentation. A question I have regarding on the 14 weeks is, at the end of 14 weeks, if they still are on medical leave, does this line up with, then they can start applying for short-term disability?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, long-term disability.
Long-term disability, yeah. Okay.
This is also one of those where there was a lot of procedural language, which we removed, and now we refer to the city policy that defines all of that procedure. Same thing with the next 2 topics here, injury leave and jury duty. Simply removed a lot of that procedural language and referenced the city policy, which has the most updated procedures for how we handle injury leave, which is workers' compensation, and jury duty, which is when an employee is called to serve jury duty. We do offer them compensation, and the procedures are listed in that policy. All right, Article 7 has to do with separation and termination of employment. This is the end of our personnel rules, and we do have a few updates here. One of them is the section on retirement. This has to do with a benefit we give our employees who retire. We have a very, I believe it's a really nice benefit. When an employee retires, they choose their last day of work, but they're able to extend their time on our pay and benefits by their accrued vacation. So if they have a bank of hours they haven't used, normally an employee would have those hours cashed out on their last paycheck, but they can choose to actually use those hours to extend their time on our books for several weeks, and that gives them an extension of pay and benefits for a little bit longer than they normally would. And it's a really great benefit. Most of our retirees do take advantage of this. And so the update we're making here is just asking them to, in order to be able to take advantage of this benefit, to give 30 days notice of intent to retire so that managers are able to use that time to plan ahead for their replacements and train overlap people and succession planning. The next one is last day of employment, and this clarifies that If an employee does choose to extend their last day by vacation when they retire, they'll receive their base pay, which we described earlier as being that base wage. So they would receive base pay for that time that they're extending. They wouldn't necessarily receive all those other supplemental items they would get because they're no longer performing those functions.
I have a question from Councilmember Davis.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, and thank you for the presentation. It's very detailed. I was just wondering, in the retirement where they can extend their last day of accrued by the vacation, does that hamstring the hiring manager from being able to hire somebody because there might be some overlap?
It does not prevent them from overlapping. They just have to plan a little bit for the budgetary overlap of salaries. So we usually have vacancy savings in the mix that help with those issues. Sure.
And I actually have a question to follow up on the retirement piece. If an individual does not give the 30-day notice, then what happens?
So that is the idea, is we want them to respect that 30-day notice to be able to take advantage of this benefit. If they don't do it, then they wouldn't be able to extend their time by vacation. However, there is a clause in there that a department director can make exceptions. So there will be times when retirement happens more quickly, unexpected for various reasons, and we can allow that still to happen. But we're really trying to prevent those situations where, unfortunately, some employees may choose not to give notice and just walk away very quickly, and we want to de-incentivize that behavior.
Thank you.
The last one on the list and the last one in the presentation is layoffs and reductions in force. This is just cleaning up the language that refers to longevity pay because that doesn't exist now. And clarifying that seniority when we do, unfortunately, when we have to face layoffs and reductions in force, they're often based on seniority dates. So we want to clarify here that seniority is based on an anniversary date of employment, and that's defined as the date an employee starts in a regular position at the city and not a variable or temporary position. And that is the end of the changes we're proposing, and I'm open to more questions.
Councilmember Davis.
Thank you. So in what you were just saying, so if somebody comes onto the city and let's say they're a seasonal worker for parks, so if they transition into a full-time, fully benefited position, that's when their day starts, their date of hire starts they're not given any credit for the hours that they worked previous to that?
That's correct.
Okay.
Other questions? Councilmember Griffith?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just wanted to say that I appreciated the methodology and looking at other competitive employers and other municipalities, and then finding parity between our sworn and our civilian employees. I think that is just a well thought out way to go about this, obviously. And then I wanted to clarify one point, that this is not a significant impact on the budget. It's no impact. It's just trying to...
Yeah, no tangible significant impact. There may be a few occasions where vacation payouts might be slightly larger for some employees, but we feel we can handle that within our current personnel budget.
Okay.
If we do see a trend where that increases, we'll be monitoring that and bring that back to you for consideration.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Councilmember Ambrose.
If there's no further discussion, I'd like to reserve the motion.
We need to have time for public comment on this matter before we go to the motion. So I have, James Loftus had signed up, but I saw that he had left. So I'm assuming we will pass him right now. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this public hearing matter? Okay, seeing none, now we can have the motion. Councilmember Ambrose.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I move that CB 25-027, an ordinance repealing and reenacting various sections of Chapter 70, Personnel Rules of the Arvada City Code, be approved on final reading, numbered 4913, and ordered published by title only.
Please cast your votes. That passes 5-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer and Mayor Simpson excused. Thank you for this. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is our second public comment time for 5 minutes. Do we have anyone who would like to speak before council at this time? All right, seeing none, I will close the public comment, and it's now time for reports. Does any member of council have a report to share? Councilmember Ambrose.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I would like to share about Adams County Regional Council of Governments came together to talk about a leadership summit that will be happening next month, and I'm really excited for this because I talked about the collaboration that we had at Jefferson County. Actually, our city manager, Don Wick, was also there, and he's the one who talked about the recent collaboration that we had at Jefferson County to organize our severe weather program, for example. And so I'm excited for Adams County to also continue to collaborate in these ways on the same types of issues. And I also wanted to raise that the Arvada Resiliency Task Force raised $20,000 in gift cards for folks, and some people were able to receive food over the recent holiday because of this initiative. So really appreciate the Chamber of Commerce, the City of Arvada, and all of our partners who came together to make sure that we addressed hunger in our community, especially with the federal shutdown, that we were there for our Arvadans. And then lastly, I'll say that the tree lighting was really cold, but it was a great success. And so thanks to everybody who showed up on Small Business Saturday. And please continue to support small businesses in Arvada. It's one of the great things about our city. So please, it doesn't have to be an old town. Just keep on looking up small businesses in Arvada. Support them throughout this holiday season, as much as you support Arvada nonprofits with Giving Tuesday, which is also today.
Thank you, Councilmember Ambrose. Councilmember Davis.
Yes, thank you. And yes, the tree lighting was a success. It wasn't as cold as it was the next night. So we actually, and I would also like to thank Councilmember Ambrose for her instrument playing, and then her daughter Rose sang. It was a lovely touch. None of the other booths had that, so we had a good showing there. And yes, please do continue to shop local. We are having for the next few Saturdays, Saturdays with Santa in Old Town. So make sure that you get out to some of the many activities. Go to visit Arvada, their website, and they're going to have a list of things that you can do across the city, and just be local. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember Davis. Councilmember Griffith.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just had two items that I wanted to bring up, make sure folks have it on the radar. One, if you haven't been to the Arvada Center to see a play, Frozen was absolutely amazing. I know several members here have seen the production of Frozen. Also, I think Romeo and Juliet is coming up soon, which is a lot of fun. So I was very taken away by the experience. It was fantastic. And I also recently took a tour of the facility, which was a lot of fun. It's way bigger than I ever realized. Lots of nooks and crannies and plenty of areas for entertainment and events. So that was pretty exciting. The other thing I just wanted to double down on, I think maybe all, if not most of the members of City Council have been on boards and committees over the years before they ultimately ran for office. If you want to get involved in your community, there's a lot of ways to do it. The applications for all of the open positions for boards and committees will be published very soon. I don't know if staff has any clarification on exactly when that will be.
I'm told it's live right now.
Oh, it's live right now. Great. So don't be a procrastinator if you'd like to be involved with your community. Look at the boards and committees, look at the vacancies, put your applications in, and who knows what will happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Griffith. I see no other lights, so I will take a few moments on some of my announcements. First, I'd like to take a personal moment to honor and recognize the passing of a dear friend of mine. State Senator Faith Winter was killed in a car accident last Wednesday. I've known Faith for about 15 years. She and I actually started lobbying together at the Capitol. We both were lobbying for the conservation community. And she taught me a lot. She taught me how to run for local office, actually. And I remember the days when she was running for re-election at Westminster City Council, and I went out and knocked doors for her. And so she just has been a big mentor to me. She taught me to be true to myself and to share my personal story with my constituents. And that has gone a long way. So I really wanted to recognize that. She's been a force at the Capitol, and she led big fights. She was always one for big fights, and she would never give up. She was a champion for women. She was a champion for families, for the environment, for transportation, and she just never gave up. And I think tonight is an example of that. We were talking about amending our personnel. And she led the effort and won to get on the ballot to get the public to approve the medical leave, family and medical leave insurance program that now allows us to have paid family leave in the state of Colorado. And that was no little feat. So I want to make sure we recognize that. And I'm just truly grateful for all her leadership. My other announcements are, one is that this Thursday, December 4th, we will be having, as I mentioned earlier, our West 72nd Avenue Community Open House, and that'll be in Oberon Middle School, 7300 Quail Street from 5 to 7 p.m. So I will be there for part of that. Also, I will be holding my monthly coffee chat on Friday, December 19th from 2 to 4 at Sweet Bloom on 77th and Wadsworth. And then finally, if you want to see me play the role of Scrooge, come this Saturday at Arvada United Methodist Church. We are having our 3rd annual Dickens experience from 10:30 to 4:30. And with that, I will turn it over to City Manager Don Wick.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Mormon. Next Tuesday night, December 9th, you have a study session on council rules starting at 4 p.m. And also the same night, you have a workshop, 2 of them. One's on the Jeffco Parkway, and the other one is on the infrastructure annual report. So thank you, and hope everybody has a great rest of the week.
Thank you, City Manager. City Attorney Rachel Morris, what do you have for us?
Nothing from me, Your Honor.
All right. With that, we are adjourned.